Now let's take a camera walk around and show you where all the buttons are so you can control all the features and functions of the camera. Starting on the back of the camera on the left, there's a row of 4 buttons over here, and the first is a very important button, that little arrow. That is the display button. It puts you into playback mode so you can see your images. Very easy to use. And you're going to use that in conjunction with several other buttons that I'll show you. Under that is the menu button. We press that, it shows you your menus. We're going to go through all of those for you. And then on the bottom here are 2 buttons for zooming in and zooming out of the image. And these buttons have 2 functions. When you're in playback mode, it zooms in and out. But when you're not in playback mode, these have 2 different functions, and that is for information. We press the bottom one, it puts us into our quick setting mode and allows us to move around and do some quick settings of all the features and functions on the camera. But the other one is your information, and basically it's like having a manual for the camera in the camera. As soon as you press it, it gives you a description, so you're basically carrying a mini version of the entire manual around with you. There's our nice super high resolution LCD display. I can't say I've ever seen a better one. Here is our 4-way controller over here, and you're going to be using this a lot to navigate around menus and such, and that really is going to be, you're going to use that all the time. Under it is the garbage can button, and that means for throwing away images. So when you're looking at an image and you press it, it's going to say, you want to delete it? And you press it again to delete the image. Bam, it's gone. And let's go to the right over here. This is where you put your SD card. You slide it back, it pops open, it's under spring tension, and then when you press the card, it pops right out like that. We have a small 128. I do suggest getting the largest and fastest card you can afford. They're not that expensive these days. 2 GB card would be quite adequate. Boom, pop it in like that. Here's our main command dial back here, and this is going to be used for several functions where you're moving around images and things like that. You'll see us using that quite a bit. Here's our auto focus lock and auto exposure lock button. This is for freezing the exposure of the camera when you're doing panoramas and other things where you don't want it to remeter. We'll show you that. And it also functions as an image lock button, so that's going to be able to protect your images. Look what's hiding right behind here, behind the viewfinder. There's a small slider. And what is that? That is the diopter adjustment. When you first get the camera, look through the viewfinder. If you wear glasses, keep them on, slide this up and down until the image is perfectly clean and clear, crispy clear, and you only have to do that once. And let's just go up to the top over here. We've got the mode dial. This has all of your modes for the point and shoot modes and the advanced shooting modes. We'll go through all of those and show you those. On the top is the hot shoe. It has a little protective cover that slides out, and that's where you put your external top-mounted flashes on should you buy a top-mounted flash. And let's go to the right over here. This little metal D-ring is where you attach your strap. You can thread it through there. And on the top right of here is your main shutter release. And that little chrome button, you're going to be using that all the time. And here is your exposure compensation button. Also has a secondary feature and allows you in manual mode to adjust the f-stops and shutters, but it alternates the function of the rotating command dial. Here's your power on and off switch over here.
Also at the top of the camera here you have this info button. This will call up the screen or shut it off, the information screen on the back.
And let's rotate it around to the front of the camera. Now on the grip over here, you can see there's a very small sort of dark little circle over here. Now what is that? Because if you're holding the camera, your hand is covering that. So what could that be? It's not just a piece of plastic. This is the infrared receiver for using a remote with this camera. So when you're not holding the camera, it's on a tripod, this little eye over here sees the remote control infrared signal coming in. So there you go. Also, right over here is a focus assist beam that shoots out a light beam to allow the camera to focus in very dark lighting conditions. Now let's keep rotating around. On the supplied 1855 lens, it's got a couple of controls over the side over here. The VR control, which is vibration reduction, turn it on or turn it off, and it allows the camera to shoot up to 3 stops lower with stability. So that's a really nice feature on this lens. Really good sharp lens too. Automatic manual focusing. You turn the automatic focus off on the lens if you were to want to just kill that for yourself and do it manually, because you can move the ring on the front, the focus ring by hand. Automatic would be the normal default setting on that. Here is how you release the lens with this lens release lock. You're going to push it in towards the body and rotate the lens away. Now right next to it here are 2 very important buttons. Here's the flash compensation button that allows you to adjust the amount of flash that comes out of the flash when you're wanting to balance the background or foreground lighting, but it also has its main function, which is to open the flash itself. Now, when this flash pops up, be fairly delicate with it. It's fairly robust, but always be ginger and careful, because it is just a piece of plastic. So have it in the closed position whenever you're not using it. Under this is the function button, and what this is an assignable button whose default setting is to go between the self-timer mode and your shooting modes, but you can set it up to 4 different ways for your ISO, changing your ISO. When you hold it in and rotate the command dial, you can change white balance or ISO, and that's settable in the menus. Here's our other attachment point for our strap, and looking around here we have a little splash-proof cover. When we open it up, inside is the USB connection going to the computer and our direct video out for when you're wanting to show all of the pictures you've just taken on that new widescreen TV at the big family get-together. Really handy. This has a really, really good video output. And when you're not using, of course, keep it closed like that. And that's how you control all the features and functions on this camera.